Coming up on Global Business, engaging the world. China's foreign minister recaps the country's diplomatic outcomes in the past year and adds that China will extend visa exemptions to 6 European countries. Strong start. China's foreign trade sets a robust pace to kick off the year, as imports and exports in the first 2 months of 2024 jumped to a record high. And FX reserves. China's foreign exchange reserves jumped by $6.5 billion in February, reversing January's decline. And welcome everyone to Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Michael Wong in Beijing. Well, Chinese President Xi Jinping has emphasized enhancing strategic capabilities in emerging domains during a session with delegates from the People's Liberation Army and People's Armed Police Force at the second session of the 14th National People's Congress. Representatives from various military sectors discuss advancements in maritime situational awareness, cyber defense capabilities, artificial intelligence, and space resource management. President Xi, while listening attentively to the speeches, underscored the significant progress achieved since the 18th National Congress in integrating new types of combat forces with the country's new productive capacities. He emphasized the need to optimize space strategies, enhance cybersecurity measures, and take full advantage of developments in intelligent technology. Xi also advocated for fostering innovation as a key element in the growth of these emerging fields. He called for an increased focus on self-reliance and indigenous innovation. Xi highlighted the importance of creating a supportive ecosystem for innovation within these new fields. He urged efforts to accelerate the supply of new combat forces as a driving force. He said it's important to deepen reforms in the national defense science and technology industry system. Xi underscored the significance of establishing innovation chains, industrial chains, and value chains that align with the development of these new fields. Well, CPPCC members have taken questions from reporters ahead of their meetings. The vice mayor of Harbin discussed the rejuvenation of northeast China, and Gansu province industrial official spoke about how the province intends to become China's center for new energy. Take a listen.
We'll leverage our current advantages and opportunities to walk a path of high quality and sustainable development. Popularity brings prosperity, and opportunities create the future. This year sees the strategy for Northeast rejuvenation enter its third decade. We'll use all our strength to return the Northeast to its past glory.
We are making efforts to transform Gansu into China's new energy base, new energy equipment base, and new material base. Walking through the Hexi corridor, you will see wind farms and photovoltaic farms. It's now known as the Three Gorges of the land. We are also speeding up the transformation of traditional industries and pushing forward the digital transformation of industries.
Well, for the first time, China's government work report has prioritized the development of innovation-driven, new quality productive forces. CPPCC member Lin Xiaofab, chairman of Zhoumu, China's largest sanitary ware product provider, told CGTN's Zhu Zhu that strong policy measures are necessary to close the gap between technological innovation and bringing products to the market. Take a listen.
那我们最关注的就是未来产业就是这个新生产力。
We now focus on promoting new quality productive forces. For example, traditional household products are now moving towards intelligence, but investing in research and development, especially for small businesses, can be quite challenging. We allocate about 10% of our annual sales for research and development investment. Last year, we invested over 2 billion yuan, or $278 million. In R&D, we hope the government can introduce some practical policies to help transform technological innovation into products. For instance, offering tax deductions for talents in high-tech industries who have contributed significantly to a certain sector. If there are demands for certain talents from companies, the government could tailor policies to attract the talents needed by these companies to create a good environment for technology innovation.
How can the government and the companies work together to lower the cost and expand the use of such advanced technologies?
其实我们在这种应用研发领域可能政府要多出台一些政策，比如说你这个技术应用了。
In the field of applied research and development, I suggest that the government should introduce more policies, such as providing subsidies for theoretical R&D activities. Currently, many research outcomes have incurred substantial investments in theoretical and technological aspects but have not been effectively transformed into products yet. This situation is prevalent across various industries. If the government can adopt precise policies targeting the transformation from theoretical research and development into those applied ones, it will help boost the sector a lot.
And still to come here on Global Business. Engaging the world, China's foreign minister recaps the country's diplomatic outcomes in the past year and adds that China will extend visa exemptions to 6 European countries.
The National People's Congress, China's top legislature, and the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, the country's advisory body, convene their annual sessions in Beijing. Lawmakers and advisors will assess the country's performance, craft laws and refine policies that will chart a course of China's ongoing modernization drive. Beijing once again hosts the 2 sessions where China takes stock of what it has achieved and where it's headed next. Join us as we bring you highlights and analysis of China's agenda in our special coverage of the 2 sessions here on CGTN.
Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who is also a member of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China Central Committee, says China has achieved fruitful diplomatic outcomes over the past year, with the head of state diplomacy playing a strategic guiding role. Wang briefed the media and took questions on China's foreign policy and diplomatic relations earlier this morning. Wang Yi also says China will extend visa exemptions to 6 European countries on a pilot basis as it hopes to facilitate more travel to China. Take a listen.
Economic diplomacy is an important part of our external work. We will continue to take steps to facilitate visits in China, including more convenient payment. I wish to share with you that starting from March the 14th, China will further extend, on a pilot basis, visa exemption to 6 countries, including Switzerland, Ireland, Hungary, Austria, Belgium, and Luxembourg. We hope more countries will offer Chinese citizens visa facilitation and work with us to build fast-track networks for cross-border travels and encourage speedy resumption of international passenger flights. This will make it more convenient for Chinese citizens to travel abroad and make foreign friends feel at home in China.
So far, China has signed mutual visa exemption agreements with over 150 countries. Now, of these, 23 nations have signed comprehensive visa-free agreements with China. In December of last year, China granted unilateral visa-free entry for citizens of 6 countries, including France, Germany, Spain, the Netherlands, Italy, and Malaysia.
The ITB Berlin is the world's largest trade fair for the travel and tourism industry, held every year in the German capital. Among those pitching themselves as the dream destination for holidaymakers is China.
There are many reasons to come to China, but the most important one, I think, is because of its history in modern development. Everyone knows that China is a country with a long history, and Beijing is the city that best represents China's ancient culture. Beijing as a city has a history of thousands of years, and as a capital it has a history of more than 860 years.
In December, citizens of France, Germany, Spain, the Netherlands, Italy and Malaysia were given visa-free entry to China for 15 days for tourism and business. Ireland and Switzerland were added to the list in January. It's been a popular move.
Since the country announced this visa-free policy, we can see that more and more foreign guests, especially European guests, are becoming more and more interested in coming to China. I believe that we can see more people coming now, and in the future, there will definitely be more European guests coming to China.
From the sprawling, vibrant city life of Shanghai to an army of terracotta soldiers on duty for over 2,000 years, to the imperial splendour of the Forbidden City, in the sun, or even the very cold. Those specialising in bringing Europeans to China say the best way to understand the country is to visit.
I think it's not just about seeing with your eyes, because when you come to China, you have to see more traditional attractions, and then you have to enjoy Chinese food, and then feel the Chinese culture.
And for those of us who can't get a trip to China anytime soon, there is the next best thing. Peter Oliver, CGTN, Berlin.
Well, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi also told the press that China will continue to support global peace and growth together with its Asian neighbors. He said that China takes a distinctive diplomatic approach to its neighbors, honoring the principle of amity, sincerity, mutual benefit, and inclusiveness. Wang expressed how China-led cooperation projects such as the Jakarta-Bandung high-speed railway and the China-Pakistan economic corridor have brought tangible economic benefits. He also said that China is deeply engaged in open regionalism, supporting ASEAN centrality and a promoter of trilateral cooperation among China, South Korea, and Japan. China is working towards the goal of building a community with a shared future for Asia as well as the world. All right, let's get a perspective now from Southeast Asia on China's economic agenda put forth during this year's two sessions, or China's annual political season, and check in with our Ryan Meltzer in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Ryan, thank you for joining us. So earlier this week, of course, we heard from China's government work report at the two sessions. In that work report, the government spoke about advancing negotiations on building a version 3.0 of the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area. So give us an update in terms of what's the status of these talks right now, and what will a China-ASEAN FTA version 3.0 mean for the region's economic integration?
Well, China and ASEAN first announced the intention to pursue this upgrade of their pre-existing free trade agreement at the ASEAN summit in Cambodia at the end of 2022. And the latest round of talks on this ended at the beginning of February. The goal is to conclude this upgrade by the end of this year. Now, we have to look at it from the perspective that China is ASEAN's #1 trading partner, and it's the #2 source of foreign investment, while ASEAN has become China's #1 trading partner during the pandemic and remains so to this day. So there's already a tremendous amount of trade and investment from China to ASEAN and vice versa as well, but they're looking to deepen and build upon that. Now, ASEAN has free trade agreements with its dialogue partners, several countries such as India, South Korea, Japan, as well as China, but the deal with China was the first one. So in that sense, it's probably the ripest for an upgrade. It's time for an upgrade. There are sections that they're looking to upgrade that were, parts of the economy that were not so prominent at the time that this deal was forged, such as the green economy and the digital economy. As well, at the time of the agreement initially, there was no RCEP, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, which has broadened the liberalization of trade and investment with ASEAN, China, Japan, South Korea, New Zealand, and Australia. So they'll be looking for the ASEAN-China free trade area now to dovetail with RCEP to deepen trade liberalization and also investment liberalization, which is very important. We also heard on Tuesday from China's premier that China intends to pursue membership of the CPTPP, the revamped Trans-Pacific Partnership, of which 4 ASEAN countries, including Malaysia, are also members. So it's fair to say that the momentum for trade and investment liberalization in this region is very robust and only getting deeper and broader by the year.
And Ryan, in terms of the major tasks of the Chinese government this year, China said it will work to expand domestic demand, to boost the imports of high-quality goods, and to intensify efforts to attract more foreign investment. So in this world that's filled with a lot of economic uncertainty, what are you hearing from Malaysian businesses in terms of how they view the opportunities currently in the China market?
Well, they're very excited by the opportunities. Now, China has been Malaysia's #1 trading partner for 15 straight years. And it's fair to say that the trade is lopsided. Obviously, people in Malaysia buy a lot more from China than the other way around, consumer goods, electronic goods, more so now with e-commerce, with the online platforms being able to buy directly from China. At the same time, Malaysia is a very key exporter of critically important commodities to China, such as palm oil and rubber. and it's also a very important part of China's electronic supply chain. But the opportunities for trading more with China, for exporting more to China, are immense given China's population, given China's growing incomes as well. And Malaysian companies and agencies are very keen to take advantage of this. So when China has been holding events such as the International Import Expo or the Fair on the Trade in Services, these are efforts by China to say, hey, we don't just want to sell to you, we want to buy from you too. Come over here, come and make connections, come and boost your exports to China. And Malaysian organizations such as the Associated Malaysian Chinese Chambers of Commerce and Industry, the big ethnic Chinese trade organization here, as well as agencies such as the Malaysian Trade Promotion Agency, they set up pavilions and booths at these trade fairs in China, looking to expand their exports to China. So they're extremely keen. They're looking to take advantage of these opportunities that China is presenting to come over there and showcase what they have to offer, what Malaysian companies have to offer, whether it's specialty food items such as durian or edible bird's nest, right up the way through the electronic supply chain as well. So certainly there's a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of effort to look for opportunities to increase Malaysian exports to China and to balance the trade more than it currently is.
All right, Ryan, many thanks for that report. Our Ryan Meltzer live for us in Kuala Lumpur. Thank you. And still to come here on Global Business. Strong start. China's foreign trade sets a robust pace to kick off the year as imports and exports in the first 2 months of 2024 jump to a record high.
The world economy as we know it is about to change. Global Business reports highlight emerging markets, developing countries, and dynamic sectors worldwide. We feature top analysts and newsmakers to provide perspectives on every facet of business. From an on-the-ground perspective, we provide you with balanced and objective assessments. Fast, sharp, and insightful. Global Business, only on CGTN.
Well, China's total imports and exports of goods surged to a record high in the first 2 months of this year, registering an 8.7% year-on-year growth in yuan terms. Exports saw robust growth, expanding by over 10%, with shipments of mechanical products, including integrated circuits and automobiles, accounting for nearly 60% of total exports. Private enterprises continue to be the backbone of China's foreign trade. The value of total foreign trade by China's private companies jumped by nearly 18% year-on-year in the first 2 months, accounting for more than half of the country's total foreign trade. Well, traditional Chinese exports such as garments, household appliances, and furniture have now given way to a new trio: electric vehicles, lithium batteries, and solar panels. So let's take a closer look at the evolution of the Made in China brand.
Electric vehicles, lithium batteries and solar cells have become China's new export pillars. In 2023, total exports of these products surpassed 1 trillion yuan for the first time, reaching over 200 countries and regions. 1.7 million units of electric vehicles were exported, up 67% year-on-year. Out of every 3 vehicles exported, 1 is an electric vehicle. The cumulative export of lithium batteries reached 3.6 billion units, enough to circle the Earth 4 times. Chinese companies commanded 63.7% of global EV battery market share in 2023, including CATL, BYD, Calbee, Gotion, Eve, and Sunwoda. The top 3 export destinations were the US, Germany, and South Korea. China's solar cell output reached 540 million kilowatts in 2023, accounting for more than 80% of world production capacity and ranking first globally for 16 consecutive years. The total installed capacity is equivalent to 24 Three Gorges power stations.
Well, the Power Construction Corporation of China, as one of the earliest state-owned enterprises to go global, has its footprint in more than 130 countries and regions worldwide, with a cumulative project contract value worth trillions of yuan. Our Aaron Liu spoke to PCCC's Deputy Chief Economist to better understand how the company is promoting the green development of new infrastructure.
We closely followed the Belt and Road Initiative, designing and constructing more than 50% of the world's large and medium-sized water conservancy and hydropower projects. By 2023, the total contract amount exceeded $16 billion. We take innovation as the driving force for sustainable development, insisting on exporting advanced technology and advantageous production capacity. From production manufacturing to integrated production, research and development, and service, we design and build high-quality projects and provide quality services for the host country.
Over the past decade, as the Belt and Road Initiative has continued to develop, what are some valuable experiences worth sharing in terms of business cooperation?
According to the principle of consultation, joint contribution and shared benefits, the group has engaged in various forms of cooperation in countries involved in the Belt and Road Initiative. We have two priorities. One is road construction, and the other is power construction. Especially in the field of clean energy, we have made power plants with more than 100 countries in the world, including Myanmar, India, and Bangladesh. As of the end of September 2023, China Energy Construction has signed contracts for overseas new energy projects with a cumulative installed capacity of 44.4 gigawatts, making the necessary contribution to the construction of the Green Silk Road.
How does the company plan to enhance its involvement in the nation's infrastructure development efforts?
We have built many hydropower stations, new clean energy sources, wind power, etc., which also provide good protection for local people's livelihoods. In addition, China Electric Power Construction has established 64 volunteer service teams in 39 countries and regions, with a cumulative volunteer service time exceeding 55,000 hours, benefiting over 1 million people globally. We employ an average of 70,000 foreign employees overseas each year, providing a large number of training and employment opportunities for local people.
And in other headlines we're tracking at this hour, China's foreign exchange reserves surged by $6.5 billion in February, surpassing $3.2 trillion and reversing the January decline. Notably, gold reserves continued their upward trend for the 16th consecutive month, nearing $150 billion. German industrial orders plummeted more than expected in January, which was attributed to a surge in large orders last December. Notably, new orders from the Eurozone declined by over a quarter, contrasting with a modest 1.6% drop from outside the region. 6 tech giants, namely Google, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, and TikTok owner ByteDance, have been busy over the past 6 months, racing to comply with landmark EU tech rules set to take effect this Thursday. Otherwise, they may face fines of up to 10% of their global turnover. The Digital Markets Act, a law passed in 2022, seeks to rein in so-called big tech after decades of unchecked growth. And to the British economy, where interest rates and inflation are receding at a slower pace than elsewhere. Food banks in the UK are providing a much-needed lifeline for those struggling with the ongoing cost of living crisis. Our Paul Hawkins has more.
When I came down here, the guy said to me, you'll never go hungry again. This place was a lifeline, and has been since.
John's been coming here for a few years.
Like every week I know I have food here guaranteed, that if I need it, and every week I do need it, almost. So.
A former railway worker, he's now unemployed because of a knee operation.
People's communities need to be involved in the support for their community. Give more money to people like this who are actually in touch with people who need the help.
Today, it's the Lunch Club. Chef Jemana has prepared some traditional Syrian food. This place isn't just about help, it's also a hub, a place to socialise.
How has Dad's House helped you?
A lot. From the beginning of the pandemic,
One of my friends showed me that house. From there, I still come in every week here to help me with a lot of stuff, for food, electricity, and a lot of things.
The government says it's spent $104 billion supporting those who are struggling. But UK interest rates and inflation have been falling slower than elsewhere. And that means organisations like Dad's House are seeing more and more clients needing help, even though they're on what used to be considered decent salaries.
Parents are more anxious than they were because of the cost of living crisis that everyone is facing just now. So whether it's gas or electric, some families are in inadequate accommodation where there's so much stamp, they're using all their disposable income to put in their prepayment electricity meters, which cost a fortune. I would like to see the cost of living crisis payment extended for another year. So many families are going to face pure poverty and coldness with the cold weather coming back again.
With spending on public services forecast to fall and no political parties promising to reverse that, organisations like this one are vital. When you think about the future, how do you feel?
Scared of the future, very scared.
My future seems to be at a stalemate at the moment, because I can't see anything other than continuing what I'm doing at the moment, which is surviving.
Paul Hawkins, CGTN.
Well, Fiji's economy relies heavily on tourism, which generates billions of US dollars each year. The majority of those tourism dollars come from one specific part of the country. But some traditional landowners say the lease deals they signed with high-end resorts don't do enough in terms of combating rising levels of poverty. Our Greg Namarro explains.
This part of Fiji has a really fascinating past. The bridge that I'm standing on right here, it leads to what's known as Denaro Island, and we're told that its name is part of a Fijian phrase which refers to floating rubbish, which is exactly what would happen when this was a collection of swampland and mangroves during flooding. Now that all changed in the 1970s when this was built up on reclaimed land for one very specific purpose. Today, Denaro Island is hugely important to the country's #1 economic driver, tourism. That's because 60% of all international visitors to Fiji stay on this island at 5-star resorts, luxury resorts like the one behind me. In fact, the industry at the moment generates about $2 billion a year. We're told by the end of 2024, that'll go up to $3 billion a year. All this was made possible when the traditional landowners signed lease agreements with the individual resorts, each lease lasting about 99 years. Well, the tourists who stay here basically live in luxury during their time. These resorts have just about every kind of amenity you could possibly ask for. You certainly pay for it. And while these resorts have proven extremely profitable, those traditional landowners and their families who signed the original agreements say there's a great imbalance between what these businesses make in profits and what people living in the villages receive. Remember, poverty is a huge issue here in Fiji. About 40% of the population, at least 40%, live below the poverty line. Get out into the rural areas and that number doubles. Village elders and their families say there needs to be a more equitable balance between the money generated here and what goes out in the communities. But they say at the moment, under the current agreements, at least for the short term, that seems unlikely.
And that's going to do it for this edition of Global Business here on CGTN. I'm Michael Wong here in Beijing. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time.